I was born at Cabrini Hospital in Malvern, and when my mother and father brought me home for Cabrini, it was to Tobin Brothers Funerals on Princess Highway in Noble Park, where we lived at the rear of the funeral home.
It was Henry Ford who said, "The only real security an individual will have in this world is a reserve of knowledge, experience and ability." Drawing upon an abundant mix of all of those things and proudly following in his father's footsteps, James McLeod is today Managing Director of one of Australia's most successful and respected funeral companies. But, as he tells us, it's been a long way to the top.
I was exposed to death right from birth. So it was natural to me, but it wasn't so natural to everyone else. So I was exposed to that, and of course funerals took place there most days of the week. It was a pretty normal part of life, I thought. I can vividly remember my first viewing of someone who had died, and it was a friend of the family. I remember helping my dad putting a trolley underneath the coffin. I can still remember it. I must have been 4 or 5. And then as I was a small child growing up, at Noble Park. Then we moved to Frankston, where Tobin Brothers had just developed and opened a new funeral complex there. I remember asking many people to come over for plays, and not many parents were too keen on their children to come to play at the rear of Tobin Brothers Funerals at 232 Cranbourne Road, Frankston. And I often wondered why that was. What my dad did and what my mum did was certainly no different. I didn't see it as any different to what other parents were doing in their employment. Frankston branch was on 3 acres, and so there was a lot of gardens to do, there was lawns to do. The coffin truck, for example, would arrive at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you'd help unload the coffin truck, you're home from school. The linen truck would come, and you'd help the linen delivery man unload the linen. It was good learning, it gave me a good understanding of the business from a very young age, and it taught me a lot about the sort of work ethic that you need in life. And certainly my mother and father worked very hard, and they taught me that from a very young age.
James McLeod's elevation to the top job at Tobin Brothers Funerals in February 2011 was especially significant because he was the first MD not a member of the Tobin family to take on that role.
Michael Tobin said in the history of Tobin Brothers, when we reached 80 years, he said there's only been 4 managing directors. And it wasn't until that time that it really hit me to say, yeah. When you have those quiet moments, you reflect on those sorts of things, and it's certainly a great honour, and it's a great responsibility too. I mean, to manage a company with 200 staff and an 80 years history.
And much of that history has now been preserved in the company's own museum.
This is a room I love coming in for reflective time because it tells a great story. It tells a story about 4 brothers with a dream. And if only I could see what their dream is in reality today.
Central to his imaginative marketing of the Tobin Brothers Funerals brand is his passionate commitment to transparency, driven by his belief that for far too long, much of what has gone on in the funeral industry has been cloaked in a veil of secrecy.
Just about anything else that you do in life, you can get detailed information, pricing, options online from the internet. That wasn't available in the funeral industry. And it still isn't available widely in the funeral industry. Well, that's something we changed straight away. Everything's available online. We don't hide anything at all. We introduced a app and called Memory Maker, which gave a lot of power to the client family to make informed decisions, important informed decisions about planning the funerals for their loved ones, so they can make decisions about what they'd like, the cost of those decisions, well and truly before meeting with the funeral planner. Often there was some uncomfortable situations where people didn't want to talk about what they could afford or couldn't afford in front of me as a funeral planner. And I just felt that we had an obligation as industry leaders to really assist client families in those situations so that they could have those discussions before we get to the client family. So that was an important step forward. Our role is to give people permission to do things that they don't believe necessarily are possible, and we use those lines. If it's legal, it's possible. And so our job is very much to give people permission to say it's okay to do this and to celebrate their life the way they'd like it to be celebrated.
I'd like one of those wavy dancing men outside.
I might even opt for a dress-up party.
Do you know what I mean? And he goes, ugh.
The rules would be
Dress sharp.
very casual. You must wear red and black.
I don't know why, but I have this obsession with fairy lights.
Particularly the Carlton people, the Collingwood people. I'd love to see them wearing an incident jumper.
That'll be fun. That'll put a smile on people's face.
Tobin Brothers Funerals know that every life is unique, and they think every celebration should be too. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
And I guess back in 2011, I really was taken aback by my aunt, who had retired, was 67, never used a computer in her life, had never been on Facebook or social media. And when she retired and got her retirement cheque, went and bought a computer and learned how to use the computer, learned how to use Facebook, and is a daily user. In fact, I think it's quite an addiction of my aunt's now. And that really hit home to me to say, hey, this generation of 65 plus, that's where they're going for their information. That's where they're going to connect with their friends. That's where they're going to talk to their loved ones, etc. We had to be there. And what we've done with social media is that we've created a community of some 9,000 people that have liked Tobin Brothers page. So what that means is that 9,000 people are happy to receive information from a funeral company, and we post 6 times a week. 6 times a week, they want to receive information from us. So what we're talking about is we're not talking about death necessarily, we're talking about life. We're giving people tools to help them in their absolute time of need and in the journey thereafter, because we know that there are events and dates throughout the year that are tough. My family have been involved in funerals, since 1962. We've done funerals for, many, thousands of families now. So long history of families, well, they ring you directly.
Axe, James McLeod. All right, mate, how you getting on? The audio visual that was prepared for service of all the photos of Mum's life, we then put that into a coffee table photo book. Yeah, well, it's a nice keepsake and it's something nice to just sit down and, and open it up and have a look through at the appropriate time. And, we all get sentimental when we lose our mums at different times, mate, and it's just a nice...
I'm a great believer that good people attract good people, and that if you give of yourself, you get it back tenfold. But I find myself that I've fallen into a lot of those habits over the years of similar to my father's and my mother's, who are both really strong workers. But if they weren't doing work for Tobin Brothers, they were doing work in the community. And so I've got a great love and involvement in local football and have been involved with the Blackburn Football Club for over 10 years. And it's not just me that's involved. Louise, my wife, has equally been involved down there, and so you'll often find Louise cooking the lunches there on a Saturday. You'll often find Angus running the water for the senior football boys, Grace waiting on tables. So it's something that we've done all together as a family.
Big welcome to our guest speaker here today, Des Gleeson and Brian Martin, who'll be interviewing him. Welcome to you, Brian and Des. Good to have you here. I'd just like Des to just say correct weight for us as he leaves. Correct weight? Des Gleeson, everyone. Thanks very much, Des. Thanks for being.
Local footy's good. It's a lot of hard work. It's like a roller coaster ride. You strap yourself in, and there's plenty of highs. There's some awful lows along the way too. But it's good fun.
James, the very good-looking man over there from Tobin Brothers Funerals, would like to present Gas with the cheque.
Yeah, thanks, Brownie. It's been a great privilege to be involved with Future Stars this year and recognising our multicultural players right across right across AFL, and it's Chris's great privilege to present $2,500 to Garsh to wish him well.
I've been in Lions for 25 years now. I'm very passionate about certain that Lions do. I guess one of my greatest passions today is I'm a director of the Wellington Inn at Collingwood, and that does great work with people in the housing commissions through Collingwood with a drop-in centre, deals and assists them with their health.
Isolation and loneliness. Nowhere to go, nowhere to sit and have a meal, or just basic things. The issue of trust, the issue of getting out and mixing with people is a difficult thing for them. And that's where a small organisation, which is not threatening, which is not making judgments about them, which accepts them, that makes a big difference in their lives. They are less lonely and less alienated.
It's a group of men and women, like-minded men and women, helping those that are really in need, and there's so many in the community, and this helps open your eyes to those sorts of things. We're very privileged people. We have a wonderful opportunity to help people through what often is the most difficult time in their life. This place is built on people. It's built on our people, and we've got a wonderful team, a wonderful group of men and women, like-minded, that are just like me, that just want to provide the very best to their client families, that are driven by this industry, that they want to get out of bed each morning and come here and do great things for people. And whilst we've got those sorts of people working at Tobin Brothers will always be a leader.